Have you ever noticed how quickly the mind wants to talk about other people? You hear one sentence, you see one moment, and before you even breathe, the mind decides. Right, wrong, good, bad, smart, stupid, worthy, unworthy. And then the mouth wants to join the mind. It wants to add one more sentence, one more opinion, one more judgment, one more story. At first, it feels harmless. It feels like conversation. It feels like bonding. But later, the heart feels heavy. The mind feels restless. Peace feels far away. So here is a question that can wake you up. What if most of your suffering is not coming from the world, but from the noise you create with your own mouth? The old saying is true. Illness enters by the mouth. Trouble leaves by the mouth. Tonight, we will speak about gossip, judgment, and the habit of dividing the world into right and wrong. In Vietnamese, we call it thi phi. It means the endless business of deciding other people's faults and virtues, and then spreading it. We will not speak about it with fear. We will speak about it with clarity. Because the Buddha did not teach us to become silent statues. He taught us to become free. We will learn why gossip is one of the strongest fuels of ignorance. We will learn how it grows the ego and creates craving and aversion. We will learn how to step out of the habit, gently, day by day. We will learn how to speak with truth and kindness, or how to stay silent with dignity. And we will learn how to turn daily speech into a path of awakening. Welcome, dear friends, to Buddha Peaceful Mind. If you are listening because you want a calmer mind and a cleaner heart, you are in the right place. If this talk helps you breathe more deeply, you are warmly invited to like the video and subscribe to Buddha Peaceful Mind. Your quiet support helps this channel keep sharing long, gentle Dharma reflections for those who are tired of noise. Now let us begin with the most important foundation. In Buddhism, speech is karma. Speech is action. Speech is a seed. A seed may look small, but it grows. And the seeds you plant with your mouth become the garden you live in. So the question is not only, what did they say about you? The deeper question is, what are you planting with your own words? To understand why gossip is so dangerous, we must first understand what it really is. Gossip is not only talking about someone who is not present. Gossip is speaking with an unwholesome intention. Sometimes you speak about someone absent with compassion. You ask for help to support them. You warn someone of real danger with facts and care. You try to solve a problem wisely. That is not the same as gossip. Gossip is when we speak to taste the sweetness of judgment. We speak to feel superior. We speak to entertain ourselves with someone else's weakness. We speak to pull another person down so we can feel higher. We speak to join a group by targeting someone outside the group. The Buddha taught that suffering has roots: greed, hatred, delusion. Gossip is often a branch of all three. Greed for attention, greed for belonging, greed for being the one who knows. Hatred hidden as criticism. Delusion that we can see the whole truth from one small angle. This is why gossip becomes a factory of ignorance. It trains the mind to divide. It trains the heart to harden. It trains the mouth to spill poison. And once you train this habit, it does not stay only in your speech. It becomes your way of seeing the world. You start to look at people like a judge. You start to look at life like a courtroom. And your mind becomes tired because judgment never ends. Now some people say, I am just being honest. I am just straightforward. But the Buddha taught that truth without kindness can become cruelty. and kindness without truth can become deception. So the path is not only truth, the path is right speech. Right speech is truthful. Right speech is gentle. Right speech is beneficial. Right speech is timely. If your words are true but not beneficial, do not rush. If your words are beneficial but not true, stop. If your words are true and beneficial but your mind is angry, wait. This is how speech becomes dharma. Now, let us go deeper. Why does gossip feel so attractive? Because the ego loves comparison. If I can point to your mistake, I feel safer. If I can show your weakness, I feel stronger. If I can label you as wrong, I can label myself as right. This is the hidden hunger behind gossip. And the Buddha taught that hunger never ends by feeding it. Hunger ends by understanding it. So tonight, we will not only say, stop gossiping, we will ask, what is the hunger behind the gossip? And how do we heal that hunger? In the Buddha's teaching, ignorance is not simply lack of information. Ignorance is not seeing clearly. Ignorance means we do not see impermanence. We do not see cause and effect. We do not see how the mind creates suffering. We do not see how clinging and aversion burn us from inside. Gossip strengthens ignorance because it strengthens the habit of projection. We see one action and we decide a whole identity. We see one mistake and we decide a whole life. We hear one rumor and we decide a whole story. But the Buddha taught dependent origination. Everything arises from causes and conditions. A person's action does not come from one simple cause. It comes from a whole web. Their upbringing, their fears, their wounds, their habits, their environment, their karma, their moment of stress. This does not excuse harm, but it reminds us of humility. When you gossip, you pretend you know the whole web, but you do not. So gossip is often delusion. Now the Buddha also taught that the mind is like a mirror. If the mirror is covered with dust, it reflects everything wrongly. Gossip is dust. Judgment is dust. Pride is dust. When you cover the mirror, you cannot see truth clearly. You only see your own distortion. So the path is to clean the mirror. How do you clean it? Not by controlling other people, by training your own mind and speech. Now let us bring this into a simple image. Imagine you wear colored glasses. If your glasses are blue, everything looks blue. If your glasses are red, everything looks red. If your glasses are dark, everything looks dark. Many of our judgments are not reality. They are the color of our own glasses. A person who loves drinking may praise heavy drinking as strong. A person who values health may see the same behavior as harmful. A person who values money may praise ruthless ambition. A person who values kindness may see the same behavior as unwholesome. So praise and blame are not fixed. They depend on the mind that speaks. This is why the Buddha taught the 8 worldly winds: gain and loss, praise and blame, fame and disrepute, pleasure and pain. These winds blow on everyone. If you cling to praise, you will suffer. If you fear blame, you will suffer. If you chase fame, you will suffer. If you hate disrepute, you will suffer. Gossip is the wind factory. It produces praise and blame endlessly. So when you step out of gossip, you step out of a storm. You return to something more stable. Your intention, your conduct, your practice. This is where peace lives. Now, let us tell a small story to make this real. A man named Niran loved talking about people. He thought it was normal. In his friend group, gossip was the main food. One day, he noticed something strange. He started feeling anxious. He started thinking, they probably talk about me too. He started checking his phone constantly, worried about what others thought. He realized gossip does not only hurt the target, it also poisons the gossipers. It creates a world where trust cannot grow. So Niran tried an experiment. For 1 week, he would not say anything negative about someone who was not present. The first day felt difficult. His mouth wanted to speak. His mind wanted to judge. He felt the itch. But he breathed and stayed quiet. After a week, he noticed his mind was calmer. He slept better. He felt lighter. He realized he had been carrying other people's stories like stones in his pocket. This is the first blessing of leaving gossip. You become lighter, and a lighter mind sees more clearly. Now, some listeners may ask, is it really possible to stop gossip? We live in families, we live in workplaces, we live in society. People talk, people judge, people complain. Yes, people talk. So the practice is not to escape the world. The practice is to live in the world without being stained by it. The Buddha used the image of the lotus. A lotus grows in mud, but it does not become mud. It rises and blooms in clean air. You cannot avoid mud in life. Misunderstanding is mud. Criticism is mud. Rumors are mud. Other people's emotions are mud. But you can decide whether you will become mud. To live like a lotus means this: you do not need to fight the mud. You do not need to praise the mud. You simply grow. Root in virtue. Rise through mindfulness. Bloom through compassion. Now, what does this look like in speech? Root in virtue means you do not harm with your mouth. You do not lie. You do not divide people. You do not humiliate. You do not take pleasure in another person's shame. Rise through mindfulness means you notice the urge to speak. You notice the itch to judge. You pause before the tongue moves. Bloom through compassion means you remember that everyone suffers. Everyone has wounds. Everyone has blind spots. You do not excuse harm, but you do not add hatred. This is lotus speech. Now let us be practical. When someone brings gossip to you, you can respond in one of 3 ways. You can redirect. You can clarify. You can refuse. Redirect means you shift the conversation to something wholesome. You say, I hope they are okay. Or, I don't know the full story. Or, what can we do to help? Clarify means you bring the conversation back to truth and responsibility. You say, did you see this directly? Or is it something you heard? If it matters, maybe the best way is to speak to them directly. Refuse means you do not participate. You say, I prefer not to talk about someone who is not here. If it is important, we can talk to them respectfully. These are simple sentences, but they change karma. Now, let us tell a small story. A young woman named Anya joined a new office. At lunch, people talked about another colleague, criticizing her. Anya felt pressure to join in. She wanted belonging. She almost spoke. Then she remembered a simple question. If these people speak like this about her when she is not here, how will they speak about me? Anya chose a different path. She said gently, I haven't worked closely with her yet, so I don't know. I hope things go well for her. The table went quiet for a moment. Some people looked at her strangely,
But later, one colleague messaged her privately and said, "Thank you. I don't like the gossip either." Anya learned something important. Sometimes the most courageous thing is not speaking, and courage builds merit. In Buddhism, merit is the invisible protection of a clean heart. When you refuse gossip, you protect your mind, you protect your karma, you protect your future relationships. Because trust grows where speech is safe. Now, this is not about being holy, this is about being free. When you stop gossip, you stop feeding a hungry ghost inside. The hungry ghost is the mind that needs drama to feel alive. When you stop feeding it, peace appears. This is the path. Now, let us go deeper and talk about the root of gossip again. The ego. The Buddha taught that suffering is created by clinging. Clinging to self, clinging to views, clinging to being right, clinging to being seen a certain way. Gossip is often clinging to views. My view is right, their view is wrong. But the Buddha warned us about being attached to views, because views become weapons. So the practice is to loosen your grip. A wise person can hold an opinion lightly. A wise person can say, "This is what I see right now, but I may not see everything." This humility is wisdom, and humility is the medicine for gossip, because gossip always thinks it knows. Humility says, "I might be wrong." Humility says, "I cannot see the whole web." Humility says, "I will speak less and observe more." This is the beginning of awakening. Now, let us speak about what happens inside the heart when gossip grows. Gossip creates liking and disliking. We praise the person who matches our view. We blame the person who does not. Then liking becomes attachment. Disliking becomes aversion. And the Buddha taught that attachment and aversion are the engine of suffering. Attachment says, "I need this. I need this person. I need this approval. I need this feeling." Aversion says, "I hate this. I want this to disappear. I want this person to be punished." Gossip trains both, and that is why it leads to restlessness. A gossiping mind cannot rest because it is always chasing and pushing. Now, the Buddha did not ask us to become blind to wrong action. He taught wisdom and discernment. The difference is important. Discernment is seeing harm and choosing a wise response. Gossip is enjoying the story of harm. Discernment can be quiet and compassionate. Gossip is usually noisy and proud. Discernment asks, what is the best action now to reduce suffering? Gossip asks, who can we blame and laugh at? So when you hear yourself speaking about someone, pause and ask, is this discernment or gossip? Am I trying to reduce suffering, or am I feeding my ego? This simple question can save your karma. Now, let us bring in a story that many Buddhist teachers use because it is a clear warning. A person spread unkind words about others for a long time. Later, they came to a teacher with regret and said, "How can I take my words back?" The teacher asked them to open a bag of feathers on a windy day. They did, and the feathers flew everywhere. Then the teacher said, "Now gather them back." It was impossible. The teacher said, "Words are like that. Once they spread, they cannot be easily gathered." This is why the Buddha taught careful speech. Speech is karma. Speech has consequences. But the Buddha also taught hope. If you have spoken wrongly before, you can repair. Repair is also karma. Repair is also merit. So if you have harmed someone with words, you can return. You can apologize. You can correct. You can stop spreading. You can speak truth when needed. You can plant new seeds.
This is the Buddhist path. Not perfection. Return. Now, let us tell a story about return. A man named Fong often criticized his wife in front of others. He thought it was joking. He thought it was nothing. One day, his wife became silent for many days. Fong felt confused. A friend said, "Your jokes are knives. You are cutting her dignity." Fong felt shame. At first, he wanted to defend himself, but then he remembered the Dharma. If I defend my ego, I lose my relationship. If I admit and repair, I can grow. He apologized. He said, "I did not see how my words hurt you. I am sorry. I will change." Then he practiced. He stopped making jokes at her expense. He praised her in front of others. He learned to speak with respect. This changed the whole home. Fong learned a deep truth. Speech is not small. Speech creates atmosphere. Speech creates home. When your speech is unkind, your home becomes unsafe. When your speech is gentle, your home becomes a refuge. So the first place to stop gossip is at home. Now, in Buddhism, the home can be a training ground. Every family conversation is a chance to practice right speech, truth, kindness, benefit, timing. This is how you turn daily life into the path. Now, let us add another key practice, the practice of gratitude toward correction. There is an old teaching story about helping that stings. A monk applied medicine to a sick animal, and the animal ran away because it felt pain. The lesson is simple and human. Sometimes we run from the person who helps us because help can sting. Correction can sting. Truth can sting. But a wise person learns to receive correction with gratitude. This does not mean you accept humiliation. It means you can learn from feedback, even if it is uncomfortable. Because the purpose of practice is not to look good. The purpose of practice is to become free. So when someone points out your fault, instead of gossiping about them later, you can ask, "Is there something here for me to learn?" This question turns pain into wisdom, and wisdom is the opposite of ignorance. Now, we must also be careful. Not all criticism is wise. Some criticism is just someone else's poison. So discernment again. If the criticism is true and helpful, learn. If the criticism is false and cruel, protect your boundary and let it go. This is the middle way. Now, let us talk about how to protect the mind from praise and blame, because gossip creates both. The Buddha taught that a wise person is not intoxicated by praise and not destroyed by blame. Why? Because praise and blame are unstable. They arise from other people's minds, and other people's minds change like weather. So if you build your happiness on praise, you will be a slave. The practice is to build your peace on conscience. A clean conscience is stable. If you live in a way your heart respects, then praise is pleasant, but not necessary. Blame is unpleasant, but not fatal. This is freedom. Now, if you want to know whether you are still trapped in gossip, look at your reaction to praise and blame. Do you feel high when praised? Do you feel low when blamed? If yes, your mind is still being pulled by the winds. So the practice is equanimity. Feel the wind, but do not be blown away. This is a very deep teaching. Now we will pause and do a short reflection. Think of the last time you praised someone. Was it pure appreciation? Or was it because they helped your ego? Think of the last time you blamed someone. Was it wise correction? Or was it because you wanted to feel superior?
This reflection is not to shame you. It is to awaken you. Because awakening begins with honesty. Now, let us continue and go deeper into the path of training speech. Because the Buddha did not only teach what to avoid, he taught what to cultivate. So we will speak about the positive path. How to speak like a practitioner. How to speak like someone walking toward wisdom. This is where your life changes. The Buddha's path is a path of training, and training happens in small moments. So here are 3 daily questions that can transform your speech. Before you speak, ask, is it true? Is it kind? Is it helpful? Is it the right time? These are the 4 gates. Truth without kindness becomes a blade. Kindness without truth becomes fog. Helpfulness without timing becomes disturbance. Timing without truth becomes manipulation. So we train all 4. Now, this might sound strict, but it is actually freedom. Because most of our suffering comes from speech that was too fast, too sharp, too careless. So slowing down is a gift. Now, let us tell a story about slowing down. A man named Bao had a habit of commenting on everything. If someone gained weight, he said it. If someone failed, he said it. If someone wore something strange, he said it. He thought he was being honest, but people became distant. His relationships felt cold. One day, a close friend told him, "Your words make me feel unsafe." Bao felt shocked. He wanted to defend himself. Then he paused. He remembered the Buddha's teaching of mindfulness. He asked himself, is my honesty reducing suffering or increasing it? He realized his speech was not wisdom. It was habit. It was ego. So he began practicing the 4 gates. At first, he felt like he was losing something. He felt quieter. He felt bored. But later, he discovered something surprising. His mind became calmer. His relationships became warmer. People trusted him more. He felt less regret. Bao learned that constant commentary was not aliveness. It was restlessness. When he stopped, peace appeared. This is the fruit of right speech. Now, the Buddha also taught about noble silence. Noble silence is not just not speaking. Noble silence is silence rooted in wisdom. It is silence that protects the mind from needless conflict. It is silence that allows understanding to arise. It is silence that refuses to feed drama. In a world where everyone speaks quickly, silence becomes power. But again, silence is not always appropriate. So we need wise silence. Wise silence is chosen to reduce suffering, not chosen to avoid responsibility. Now, let us explore the practice of wise silence in gossip situations. If someone invites you into gossip, you can choose silence. You can smile gently. You can change the topic. You can excuse yourself. This protects your karma. And karma is not a mystical idea. Karma is simply the results of action. If you participate in gossip, trust decreases. If you refuse gossip, trust increases. This is cause and effect. Now, let us tell a story. In the meditation center, there was a period of tension. Some people began complaining about a teacher. The complaints became gossip. One practitioner noticed their own mind becoming hot. They wanted to join. Then they remembered the purpose of retreat: to calm the mind, to see clearly. They chose silence. They did not take sides. They did not spread. They spoke only to the right person, privately, with care, if something truly needed attention. Later, the tension passed. The practitioner realized something. Most conflicts grow not because of one problem, but because of many mouths.
When mouths close, problems become smaller. This is why the Buddha said that guarding speech is a great protection. Now let us move to another important teaching, the teaching of wise friendship. In Buddhism, wise friendship is not optional. It is one of the strongest supports for practice. If your friends love gossip, your mind will be pulled toward gossip. If your friends love hatred, your mind will be pulled toward hatred. If your friends love sincerity and peace, your mind will be supported. So one path of leaving gossip is to choose your environment, not with arrogance, with care. If your group conversations are always poison, you may need distance. If your social media is always judgment, you may need to unfollow. If your family gatherings are always blame, you may need boundaries. This is not hatred. This is protection. The Buddha taught that we are shaped by what we associate with, so choose wisely. Now let us speak about the digital world. Today, gossip is not only at the tea table, it is on a screen. People share rumors. People judge strangers. People shame others publicly. This is heavy karma. And it does not only harm the target, it harms the sharer and the community. It trains your mind to enjoy cruelty. So if you want to reduce ignorance, practice digital right speech. Before you comment, ask the 4 gates. Before you share, ask the 4 gates. Before you reply in anger, breathe once. And remember this, you do not need to win online. You need to protect your mind. Now, a story. A woman named Kanya used to read comment sections every night. She became angry. She became judgmental. She felt exhausted. She realized her mind was being trained by conflict. So she changed one habit. No comment sections at night. 10 minutes of breathing instead. A short Dharma reading. Within 2 weeks, her mind changed. Not because the world changed, because her inputs changed. This is a deep Buddhist truth. Your mind becomes what you feed it, so feed it wisely. Now we will speak about the heart of the teaching, why gossip is connected to ignorance. Because gossip is mindlessness. It is speech without awareness. It is opinion without humility. It is reaction without compassion. So the antidote is mindfulness. Mindfulness means remembering. Remembering the breath. Remembering the precepts. Remembering the purpose of practice. When mindfulness is strong, gossip weakens. Because you see the urge, and you do not obey it. This is freedom. Now, let us move into a longer guided practice. This practice is simple and powerful. It is called the pause practice. When you feel the urge to comment on someone, pause. Feel the breath. 1 inhale, 1 exhale. Then ask yourself, what is my intention? Is it to help or to feel superior? If it is to help, speak gently and directly to the person, if appropriate. If it is to feel superior, remain silent. Then, do one wholesome action. Instead of gossiping, offer kindness. Instead of judging, offer understanding. Instead of spreading, offer calm. This practice changes your life. Now, as we continue, we will go deeper into the ego and the need to be right. Because that is the root of much gossip. The mind loves to be right. It feels like safety. But the Buddha taught that clinging to views is a chain. When you cling to being right, you cannot learn. When you cling to being right, you become harsh. When you cling to being right, you create enemies. So the path is humility and curiosity. Instead of saying, they are wrong, ask,
What conditions made them act this way? Instead of saying, "I am right," ask, "What might I be missing?" This is wisdom. Now let us tell a story. Two friends argued about a spiritual practice. Each thought they were right. Their friendship became cold. A teacher asked them, "Do you want to be right, or do you want to be free?" They paused. They realized their argument was not about truth. It was about ego. They chose humility. They listened. They learned. Their friendship returned. This is how views become lighter. Now, if you want to stop gossip, you must also learn to let go of the pleasure of being a judge. Because gossip is a form of entertainment. It gives quick pleasure, like sugar. But afterward, the body feels weak. So practice a different pleasure. The pleasure of silence. The pleasure of kindness. The pleasure of a clean heart. This pleasure is deeper. This is the pleasure of Dharma. Now, we will continue with more stories and practices, because we want this teaching to stay in your bones, not only in your head. There is another reason gossip is so powerful. It gives people a sense of belonging. When a group talks about someone outside the group feels united. But it is a unity based on exclusion. It is unity built on harm. The Buddha taught that real community is built on compassion and truth, not on scapegoats. So one of the bravest practices is to refuse bonding through cruelty. You may lose some friends, but you will gain something more precious. You will gain self-respect. You will gain peace. You will gain relationships built on trust. Now, let us tell a story. A young man named Rafi joined a circle of friends. They laughed a lot. They talked constantly, but most of their laughter was built on mocking other people. Rafi felt uneasy, but he stayed. He wanted belonging. One day they mocked a quiet person in the group. Rafi realized, if I stay silent, I am supporting this harm. So he spoke, gently. He said, I don't feel comfortable making fun of someone like this. We don't know what they are carrying. The group went quiet. Some people rolled their eyes. Later, one person messaged him and said, "Thank you. I've been feeling the same." The circle slowly changed. Not completely, but something shifted. Rafi learned something. One kind sentence can change the karma of a whole room. This is right speech as courage. Now let us talk about courage. Many people think courage is loud, but Buddhist courage is often quiet. It is the courage to not join harm. It is the courage to be gentle. It is the courage to be silent when others demand noise. This courage is a form of merit. Merit is not only giving money. Merit is purity of intention. When you refuse gossip, you protect others. When you protect others, you protect yourself. Because you are planting a mind that does not enjoy cruelty. And a mind that does not enjoy cruelty becomes peaceful. Now, let us return to the core chain again. Judgment creates liking and disliking. Liking and disliking create attachment and aversion. Attachment and aversion create restlessness and suffering. So one way to cut the chain is to practice compassion. Compassion is not agreeing with everything. Compassion is seeing suffering. When someone acts badly, you can still see their suffering. You can still hold them accountable. But you do not need to hate. This is a very high practice, but it begins with small steps. Now, a small practice you can use. When you notice the mind judging, say quietly inside, I see judgment. Then ask, what is the suffering here? Maybe the person is afraid. Maybe they are insecure. Maybe they are wounded. Maybe they are confused. This softens the heart.
And when the heart softens, gossip loses taste. Now, we must also speak about the place where gossip hurts the most. Spiritual life. Many people want to practice. They meditate, they chant, they read Dharma. But then they go into conversation and speak badly about others. This creates a split. The Buddha taught that the path is whole. Speech is part of the path. So if you want real progress, your speech must become practice. In the Noble Eightfold Path, right speech comes early, because speech shapes everything. If your speech is unwholesome, your mind cannot settle. Your meditation becomes difficult. Your heart becomes tight. So if you want deeper meditation, start with speech. Now, here is a short story. A monk complained that his meditation was restless. He sat, but the mind was noisy. A teacher asked him, "How is your speech?" The monk admitted he often criticized other monks. He often compared. He often judged. The teacher said, "Your meditation is simply showing you your mind. Clean your speech, and the mind will calm." The monk practiced silence. He practiced gentle speech. He apologized where needed. Over time, his meditation became steadier. This story teaches a clear truth. Speech is not separate from meditation. Speech is meditation in action. Now let us speak about the sentence from your text that is very beautiful. If you are praised, you become happy. If you are blamed, you become sad. Then you prefer the person who flatters you and avoid the person who corrects you. This is very human, but it is also a trap. Because flattery often feeds ego. Correction, when done with care, can feed wisdom. So a practitioner learns to love truth more than comfort. This does not mean you accept humiliation. It means you can learn from honest feedback. So when someone points out your fault, ask, "Is this true?" If yes, thank them inwardly, even if it stings. If no, let it go. Now let us tell a story. A woman named Sita had a friend who always praised her, even when she was wrong. She felt good around that friend, but her life did not improve. Another friend sometimes told her hard truths, with kindness. Sita felt uncomfortable around that friend, so she avoided her. Later, Sita realized her life was stuck. She kept repeating the same mistakes. She returned to the honest friend and said, "I avoided you because you made me uncomfortable, but you were helping me." The honest friend smiled and said, "I only wanted you to grow." Sita learned to value truth. Her ego softened. Her wisdom grew. This is the path. Now we will speak about the final key, the key of turning the mouth into a lamp. Your mouth can be a knife, or your mouth can be a lamp. A knife cuts. A lamp illuminates. A knife creates fear. A lamp creates clarity. So ask yourself each day, is my speech a knife or a lamp? If it is a knife, soften. If it is a lamp, continue. We will bring in a short, reflective saying to hold in your heart. Less speech, less trouble. Less craving, less worry. Less excess, less illness. Less busyness, less suffering. This is not about being cold. It is about being free. Now, we will move into a long, practical section. How to live without gossip in daily life. Because the mind needs a plan. So we will build a plan with gentle steps. And as we do, remember, you do not need to change overnight. You only need to change one sentence at a time. That is how a new life is built. Now, breathe gently, and let us continue. Imagine one ordinary day. You wake up. You check your phone. You see news. comments, opinions. Before you know it, the mind is already judging. This person is wrong. That person is stupid. This group is bad. That group is good. Then you carry this heat into your day. So the first practice is morning protection. Before you touch the phone, take 3 breaths. Then set one intention. Today, may my speech be clean. Today, may my mouth not plant suffering. Today, may I speak only what is true, kind, and useful. This intention is a seed. Now you enter your day. At work, someone complains about a colleague. In the family, someone criticizes a relative. In the group chat, someone posts a rumor. This is the mud. Now you have a choice. You can join, or you can practice. To practice, you can use one of these phrases. I don't know the full story. I hope they are okay. If it matters, maybe we should speak to them directly. Let's focus on what we can do. These phrases are not dramatic. They are quiet, but they redirect the karma of the room. Now, in the middle of the day, you might feel an urge to judge. The mind says, I am right and they are wrong. So practice the humble question. What might I be missing? This question weakens pride. Pride is one of the deepest fuels of gossip. Now, in the afternoon, you might feel tired. When tired, speech becomes careless. So tiredness is a danger. The Buddha taught mindfulness of the body. If you are tired, rest. If you are hungry, eat. If you are overstimulated, step away. This is also part of right speech, because a tired mind speaks harshly. Now in the evening, you review your day, not with self-hate, with wisdom. Ask yourself, where did I speak from ego today? Where did I speak from kindness today? Where did I join gossip? Where did I refuse it? Then choose one gentle correction for tomorrow. This is how practice grows. Now let us talk about how to deal with the guilt of past speech. Many people remember words they said years ago and feel shame. The Buddha did not teach endless self-punishment. He taught purification. Purification means you stop the harmful action. You repair where possible. You plant new seeds. So if you harmed someone with gossip, you can do 3 things. Stop spreading it. Correct it if it has caused harm. Speak well of the person when truthfully possible, and apologize if appropriate. This is not weakness. This is strength. A person who can repair is a strong person. Now, let us tell another story. A man named Min spread a rumor about a coworker. It was not even fully true. It was just something he heard. Later, he learned the rumor caused real harm. The coworker became isolated and hurt. Min felt regret. He wanted to hide. Then he remembered the Dharma. Return is the path. He went to the coworker and apologized. He also clarified to others that the rumor was not verified and should stop. He did not blame anyone else. He took responsibility. This was difficult, but Min felt a weight lift from his chest. His conscience became lighter, and a light conscience is peace. Now some people think that if you stop gossip, you will become boring. You will have nothing to talk about. This is a common fear, but it is not true. When gossip disappears, deeper conversation appears. You can speak about gratitude. You can speak about lessons. You can speak about values. You can speak about growth. You can speak about real problems and real solutions. You can speak about life, not about attacking life. So stopping gossip does not remove connection. It replaces shallow connection with real connection. Now, A short story. Two sisters always talked about family drama. They bonded through criticism. One sister began practicing mindfulness. She decided to stop gossip. At first, the other sister complained, "You have changed. You are quiet." The mindful sister said gently, "I want our bond to be peaceful, not painful." Slowly, their conversations changed. They spoke about their dreams, their fears, their healing. Their relationship became warmer. This is the fruit of practice. Now, let us address something important. Sometimes people call gossip concern. They say, "I am just worried." But worry can still become judgment. So the practice is to speak about concern with care. Instead of labeling someone as bad, speak about behavior and impact. Instead of, "She is terrible," say, "I noticed she seems stressed and it affected the meeting." Instead of, "He is a loser," say, "He seems struggling and I hope he gets support." This is speech that keeps the heart clean. Now let us move into a deeper Dharma teaching, the practice of not self in speech. Not self means you stop taking everything personally. It also means you stop making everything about your identity as right. When you gossip, you strengthen the sense of self as judge. I know, I see, I decide. But in practice, you relax this. You become a witness. You observe. You learn. You stay humble. This is wisdom. Now, because this is a long talk, we will take a longer meditation-like reflection. Listen gently. Notice your breath. Now notice the mind's habit of commentary. The mind says, like, dislike, good, bad. Just observe, do not fight. Now say quietly inside, thinking. Then return to breath. Each time you return, the mind becomes a little quieter. And when the mind becomes quieter, gossip loses power. Because gossip is a noisy mind speaking. Now, let us continue to build the path of speech, step by step. And remember, you are not trying to become perfect. You are trying to become free. Now, if this teaching is helping you, you are welcome to like the video and subscribe to Buddha Peaceful Mind. It helps this channel continue offering long, calm teachings for those who want to live with a cleaner heart. Now, let us go deeper into the relationship between gossip and suffering and how the Buddha dissolves it. In the Buddha's teaching, everything begins with contact. A sound contacts the ear. A word contacts the mind. A story contacts your attention. Then feeling arises. Pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. Then craving arises. I want more. I want less. I want to push away. Then clinging arises. A story becomes an identity. A view becomes a weapon. A dislike becomes hatred. Then becoming arises. You become a person who talks that way. You become a person who sees the world that way. Then suffering follows. This is dependent origination in daily speech. Gossip usually begins with unpleasant feeling. Someone irritates you. Someone succeeds and triggers envy. Someone has a flaw and triggers pride. Then the mind craves. It craves relief. It craves superiority. It craves belonging. So it speaks. And speech becomes action. Action becomes habit. Habit becomes destiny. This is why gossip is not small. Now let us learn how to break the chain. We cannot always stop contact, but we can stop what we do after contact. We can pause between feeling and craving. This pause is mindfulness. When you feel the urge to speak badly about someone, pause. Feel the urge as sensation, heat, tightness, energy. Then breathe. Then ask, what am I trying to get? Often the answer is, I want to feel above.
Or, I want to feel safe. Or, I want to belong. Then ask, is there a wholesome way to meet this need? If you want safety, build skill, not gossip. If you want belonging, build kindness, not cruelty. If you want to feel better, practice gratitude, not comparison. This is how wisdom breaks gossip. Now, let us tell a story about comparison, because it is a hidden root of gossip. A woman named Dara saw her friend succeed. Instead of feeling happy, she felt a sting. Why not me? Soon, she began criticizing the friend. She said the friend was lucky. She said the friend was not that talented. She found faults. This is gossip driven by envy. One day, Dara noticed her own suffering. Her friend's success was not harming her. Her envy was harming her. So she practiced sympathetic joy. In Buddhism, sympathetic joy is rejoicing in the happiness of others. Dara said quietly, "May her success be stable. May I learn from her. May I also grow." At first, it felt forced. Then her heart softened. She began asking her friend for advice instead of criticizing. She learned. She improved. Her envy became inspiration. This is the transformation of gossip into wisdom. Now, let us talk about another hidden root, the pleasure of being the knower. Some people gossip because they want to be seen as informed. They want to be the one who knows the secret. They want attention. This is greed. The antidote is simplicity and humility. You do not need to be the knower. You need to be peaceful. So practice letting secrets pass. Practice saying, "I don't know." Practice not needing to be special. This is freedom. Now, another root is anger. When angry, the mind wants to punish. It punishes through words. The antidote is patience and compassion. Patience is not suppressing anger. Patience is not obeying anger. You can feel the heat, and you can choose not to act from it. Now, a short story. A man named Ken was angry at a coworker. He wanted to complain to everyone. He wanted to destroy the coworker's reputation. He paused and asked, "If I do this, will it reduce suffering or increase it?" He realized it would increase it. It would harm many people. It would poison him. So he chose a direct conversation. He spoke to the coworker about the issue, calmly. He set a boundary. He asked for change. The conflict did not disappear instantly, but gossip did not grow. Ken protected his mind. This is wise action. Now we must address a very important misunderstanding. Stopping gossip does not mean you never talk about problems. If someone is causing harm, you may need to speak. But speak with the right intention. Speak to solve, not to shame. Speak to protect, not to entertain. In Buddhism, intention is everything. So if you need to bring up a problem, do it with the smallest circle necessary.
Speak to the person directly if possible. Speak to a responsible authority if needed. Avoid spreading to people who cannot help. This is the middle way. Now let us talk about speech as a spiritual training, not a moral performance. Many people want to look spiritual. They want to appear calm. They want to appear above gossip. But inside, they still judge. The Buddha taught that the goal is inner purification. So be honest. You may still judge. You may still feel the urge. That is okay. Just see it. Do not feed it. Return. Return is the path. Now we will do a longer practice called the mirror practice. When you notice yourself judging someone, ask, is there something in them that is also in me? Maybe you judge their laziness because you fear your own laziness. Maybe you judge their arrogance because you have hidden pride. Maybe you judge their mess because you crave control. This is not to blame yourself. It is to see projection. When you see projection, judgment softens. And when judgment softens, compassion appears. This is wisdom. Now let us continue and deepen the teaching of right speech, because it is a complete path by itself. And it is the fastest way to reduce suffering in daily life. Right speech has 4 qualities: truthful, harmonious, gentle, meaningful. Truthful means you do not lie, you do not exaggerate, you do not twist, you do not spread what you do not know. Harmonious means you do not use words to divide people. You do not carry messages that create enemies. You do not enjoy creating sides. Gentle means you avoid harshness, even when speaking truth. Gentle speech is not weak. It is careful. It protects dignity. Meaningful means you do not waste speech on useless talk that creates restlessness. Meaningful speech does not mean serious speech all the time. It means speech that supports life. Now, when you practice these, the mind becomes cleaner. A clean mind is less ignorant, because ignorance thrives in noise. Now let us tell a story about divisive speech. 2 friends were close. A third person carried messages between them. He repeated words in a way that made each friend angry. He enjoyed the drama. Soon the friendship broke. Later, the truth came out. The third person had been dividing them. The friends realized something painful. It was not only his fault. They also believed without verifying. They also enjoyed being angry. They also loved stories. So they learned a lesson. Do not accept gossip as truth. Verify. Speak directly. Protect harmony. This is right speech. Now, a practice for harmony. If someone says, "Did you hear what she said about you?" Pause. Breathe. Then ask, "Did you hear it directly?" If not, I will speak to her directly if it matters. This single practice can save friendships. Now, gentle speech. Gentle speech does not mean you never criticize. It means you criticize without cruelty. If you must correct someone, speak about behavior, not identity. Instead of, "You are selfish," say, "When this happened, I felt hurt." Instead of, "You are lazy," say, "I need your help with this task." Instead of, "You always ruin everything," say, "I want us to find a better way." This protects dignity. Now, meaningful speech. Meaningful speech means you do not speak just to fill silence, because many people gossip simply because silence feels uncomfortable. But in Buddhism, silence is medicine. Silence gives space for wisdom. So practice being comfortable with silence. If a conversation becomes gossip, allow silence. Let it be. Sometimes silence is the most skillful response. Now let us tell a story about silence. A woman named Gina used to talk constantly. When her friends met, silence felt awkward, so they filled it with gossip. One day, Gina went on a meditation retreat. She practiced silence. At first, she felt nervous. Then she felt relief. She realized her constant talking was not connection. It was anxiety. When she returned, she tried something. She allowed silence in conversations. At first, people felt awkward. Then deeper topics appeared. They spoke about fear. They spoke about hope. They spoke about meaning. Silence became a doorway. This is the power of noble silence.
Now, let us speak about the final line in your text. Less speech, less trouble. Less desire, less worry. Less excess, less illness. Less busyness, less suffering. This is a beautiful summary of the middle way. The Buddha taught moderation, not extreme silence, not extreme talk, not extreme desire, not extreme rejection. Moderation creates peace. Now, in this long talk, we also want to include a practical path of training for the listener. So here is a gentle plan for 30 days. You do not need to count the days, but you can practice. First, choose one area to reduce gossip. Maybe it is family talk. Maybe it is workplace talk. Maybe it is online talk. Then choose one sentence you will use when gossip arises. I prefer not to judge. I don't know the full story. Let's speak directly. Let's talk about something else. Then practice daily, not perfectly, just steadily. After 1 week, your mind will begin to change. After 1 month, your speech will begin to change. And when speech changes, life changes. Because your relationships change, your trust changes, your inner world changes. This is a real transformation. Now, let us add another story to keep the heart engaged. A man named Somchai lived in a neighborhood where gossip was common. Every evening, people gathered and talked about others. Somchai joined for years. He laughed, he judged, he felt included. But later he noticed his heart became harsh. He became suspicious. He could not trust anyone. He decided to change. When gossip began, he stayed for a few minutes, then excused himself politely. He began using that time to walk mindfully. He listened to birds. He breathed. At first, people teased him. They said he was strange. But Somchai felt peaceful. Over time, the neighborhood saw him differently. They began coming to him for calm advice. They trusted him. Somchai learned a deep truth. When you stop gossip, you stop being part of the storm. You become a shelter. This is the fruit of practice. Now, let us continue deeper, because we still need to touch the root of ignorance more precisely. We will speak about the 3 poisons and how gossip strengthens them and how practice dissolves them. Stay with me. Breathe gently and let the teaching sink in. The Buddha taught that the mind suffers because of 3 poisons: greed, hatred, delusion. Gossip feeds all 3. Greed appears as craving for attention, craving to be included, craving to be the one who knows, craving to be above. Hatred appears as criticism and blame, the pleasure of tearing down, the satisfaction of judging. Delusion appears as not knowing the whole story, believing your view is reality, thinking your opinion is truth. So gossip is a powerful mixture of poisons. That is why it feels strong. That is why it spreads. That is why it pulls people in. Now, what dissolves poison? Water dissolves salt, and the Dharma dissolves poison. The antidotes are also simple. For greed, practice generosity and contentment. For hatred, practice loving kindness and compassion. For delusion, practice mindfulness and wisdom. So when you feel the urge to gossip, you can see which poison is present. Is it greed for attention? Then practice contentment. You do not need to be interesting by judging others. You can be peaceful. Is it hatred? Then practice compassion. You can correct behavior without cruelty. You can protect yourself without hate. Is it delusion? Then practice humility. You do not know the whole web, so speak less and observe more. This is the Buddha's medicine.
Now, let us tell a story about contentment. A woman named Nita always compared herself to others. When someone succeeded, she felt small, so she criticized them. She found faults. Her life felt bitter. A teacher suggested a simple practice. Each night, write down 3 things you are grateful for. At first, Nita felt silly, but she tried. After a few weeks, something changed. Her mind became softer. She felt less hungry. She felt less need to judge. Gratitude grew. Gossip decreased. This is a real transformation, because a grateful heart has less need to tear down others. Now, a story about compassion. A man named Hien had a co-worker who was difficult. The co-worker interrupted and acted arrogant. Hien complained about him to everyone. He built a gossip circle. The office became divided. The tension grew. Later, Hien learned something. The co-worker was under extreme stress at home. His parent was ill. He was afraid. His arrogance was a mask. Hien did not excuse the behavior, but his heart softened. He chose a different action. He spoke to the co-worker directly with respect. He set boundaries. He offered support where appropriate. The situation improved. Hien learned a deep truth. Gossip feels like control, but it creates more chaos. Direct, wise speech creates clarity. Now, a story about wisdom. A group of friends judged someone based on a rumor. They repeated the story. They became angry. Later, they discovered the rumor was false. They felt ashamed. They realized they had acted from ignorance. They learned a practice. Verify before speaking. Ask for facts. Speak directly if needed. This is wisdom in speech. Now we must speak about the role of the ego again, because ego is often the hidden fuel of gossip. Ego is the habit of taking everything personally. It is the habit of needing to be superior. It is the habit of protecting identity. When ego is high, the mouth is loud. When ego is high, the mind sees enemies and rivals. So one great practice is humility. Humility does not mean self-hate. Humility means you are not trapped by being above. A humble person can learn. A humble person can change. A humble person can admit fault. A humble person can be corrected. Humility is freedom. So when you feel the urge to gossip, you can say quietly, "This is ego." Then breathe. Then release. Now, let us tell a story about humility. A practitioner named Lan loved the Dharma, but she often criticized other practitioners. She judged their practice. She said, "They are not serious." One day, her teacher asked her, "When you judge them, is your mind peaceful?" Lan became silent. The teacher said, "If your practice makes you proud, it is not yet mature." Lan realized her judging was ego wearing spiritual clothes. She began practicing humility. She spoke less about others and more about her own mind. Her peace increased. This is a powerful lesson. Even spiritual gossip is still gossip, so the path is inward. Now, we will speak about inward practice, because this is where ignorance truly dissolves. Ignorance dissolves when you see your own mind, not when you fix other people. So the Buddha taught meditation. Meditation is not escaping, it is seeing. When you sit and watch the mind, you see judgment arise. You see pride arise. You see craving arise. You see aversion arise. And when you see, you are no longer blind. So meditation is the opposite of ignorance. Now you may say, "I don't have time to meditate." Then practice micro-meditation. 1 breath before speaking. 1 breath before typing. 1 breath before sharing. These small pauses are meditation, and they change your karma. Now, we will do a guided pause together. Imagine someone is not present. Your mind wants to comment about them. You feel the urge. Now pause. Breathe. Ask, is this true? Is this kind? Is this helpful? Is this the right time? Now choose. If it fails, remain silent. If it passes, speak gently. This is Dharma. Now, we will continue for a long time, because the mind needs repetition to change. And as we continue, we will add more stories and more practical tools so you can actually live this teaching. Stay with me. Breathe gently, and let your heart become quieter with each line. One of the most painful consequences of gossip is conflict. Gossip does not only create opinions, it creates sides. This side is good, that side is bad. This group is right, that group is wrong. Then the heart hardens, and people stop seeing each other as human beings. They see labels. The Buddha taught that labels are dangerous because labels hide reality. When you label someone as bad, you stop seeing their suffering. When you label someone as good, you stop seeing their blind spots. Both are delusion. So the practice is to see people as complex and changing. A person can do a harmful act today and a kind act tomorrow. A person can be confused now and wise later. A person can be angry in one moment and gentle in another. Everything changes. This is impermanence. So gossip that freezes people into labels is the opposite of the Buddha's view. Now let us talk about the habit of right and wrong more carefully. The Buddha did teach right and wrong in the sense of wholesome and unwholesome, but he did not teach right and wrong as a way to inflate ego. He taught it as a way to reduce suffering. So the question is not, how can I be right about you? The question is, what action reduces suffering for all involved? This shift changes everything. Now, a small story. 2 family members argued about a decision. Each believed they were right. They brought others into the argument. They gathered supporters. The family became divided. A wise elder said, "You are both trying to win, but nobody is trying to heal." That sentence ended the argument. They began asking a different question. What solution reduces suffering for the family? How can we speak without harming? They still disagreed, but they stopped the war. This is the difference between ego rightness and Dharma rightness. Dharma rightness is the right intention, not the right ego. Now, let us speak about gossip in the family, because family gossip is often the deepest. Relatives talk about relatives, siblings talk about siblings, parents talk about children, children talk about parents. These words land inside the heart for years. So family speech is powerful karma. If you want to practice, begin at home. When family members gossip, do not preach, do not act superior. Just practice one gentle redirection. I hope they are okay. Let's not judge. We can speak to them directly if needed. What can we do to help? Your tone matters more than your words. If your tone is kind, people listen. If your tone is proud, people resist. Now, a story. A young woman named Mi tried to stop family gossip by scolding her relatives. She said, "This is wrong. Stop it." The family became defensive. They felt attacked. The gossip continued. Later, Mai tried a different approach. She stayed calm.
She redirected. She asked questions. She spoke about feelings, not blame. Slowly, the family atmosphere changed. Not quickly, but gradually. Mai learned a Dharma lesson. You cannot end gossip with harsh speech. You end gossip with the same medicine you want others to take. Gentleness, patience, consistency. Now, let us talk about workplace gossip. Workplaces are full of stress. Stress creates judgment. Judgment creates gossip. So the practice in the workplace is this. Speak about problems with the right people, not with everyone. If you have an issue with someone, speak to them directly if possible. If not possible, speak to a responsible manager. Do not build gossip circles. This is wise. Now, a story. A team had a member who was not contributing. People complained about him behind his back. The gossip grew. Then the team leader said, "We will not speak about him without him. We will speak to him directly, with clarity and respect." They did. The member admitted he was overwhelmed and afraid. He asked for help. The team adjusted tasks. The problem improved. The leader saved the team from gossip and saved the member from shame. This is Dharma at work. Now we must also talk about spiritual communities, because sadly, gossip can appear even there. People compare teachers, people judge practitioners, people spread rumors, people create factions. The Buddha warned strongly against divisive speech in communities, because division destroys practice. So if you are in a spiritual community, treat speech like sacred work. Do not spread stories. Do not enjoy conflict. If there is a real issue, speak through proper channels with respect. This is protection for the Dharma. Now, we will speak about one more practice. The practice of seeing your own mind as the main work. Gossip is usually outward. It points outward. The Dharma is inward. It returns inward. So each time you want to gossip, use it as a bell that says, return to yourself, return to breath, return to intention, return to compassion, return to humility. This is how gossip becomes a path. Now, let us add a gentle vow you can use each morning. Today I will not add suffering with my mouth. Today I will speak truth with kindness. Today I will refuse to divide people. Today I will practice silence when speech is not beneficial. This vow is small, but it creates a new life. Now, before we close this long talk, we will place one final subtle invitation. If this teaching helps you feel calmer and more awake, you are welcome to like the video and subscribe to Buddha Peaceful Mind. It helps this channel continue creating long, peaceful Dharma talks for your nights and mornings. Now we will begin to close with a final reflection. Why is gossip a strong fuel of ignorance? Because it trains the mind to look outward instead of inward. Because it strengthens ego instead of humility. Because it strengthens division instead of compassion. Because it strengthens craving and aversion instead of equanimity. So the path out of gossip is the path out of ignorance. Less judgment, more mindfulness. Less blame, more responsibility. Less noise, more clarity. And the fruit is peace. Now let us end with a soft blessing, like a meditation. May your speech become a lamp, not a knife. May your mind become clear, not cloudy. May your heart become wide, not narrow. May you see others with compassion and yourself with honesty. May you speak less when ego is loud and speak gently when truth is needed. May you be free from the hunger to judge. May you walk the path of the Buddha with a clean mouth and a calm heart. And before we close, let us stay together longer, because this topic is not small. If you truly understand speech, you understand karma. And if you understand karma, you understand why the Buddha began the path with conduct. Many people want deep meditation. They want peace. They want wisdom. But their daily speech is still full of irritation, sarcasm, blame, and gossip. So their meditation becomes a struggle. Their mind sits down, but the mouth has been running all day. The heart sits down, but the tongue has been cutting all day. The conscience is not clean. A mind with regret cannot rest easily. This is why speech is not a side topic. It is the doorway to inner silence. Now, let us look carefully at the ancient saying again. Illness enters by the mouth. Trouble leaves by the mouth. Illness enters by the mouth in the obvious way, through food and drink. But in a deeper way, illness also enters by the mouth through the emotions we swallow, through the bitterness we keep inside, through the anger we keep feeding with words. Trouble leaves by the mouth because words create consequences. A careless joke can break a friendship. A harsh sentence can become a scar. A rumor can destroy trust. A small exaggeration can become a big fire. So if you want a peaceful destiny, guard speech. Now some people hear this and feel pressure. They think they must become perfect. They think they must never speak. This is not the Buddha's way. The Buddha taught the middle way. Not harshness, not silence from fear, not constant talking, not suppression. The middle way is mindfulness and intention. You speak when it is beneficial. You remain silent when it is not. You correct yourself when you fail. You return again and again. Return is the path. Now let us deepen your understanding with a simple teaching about the tongue. The tongue has two functions. It can taste food, and it can taste conflict. Some people are addicted to the taste of conflict. They taste it when they complain. They taste it when they judge. They taste it when they expose someone's flaw. They taste it when they prove someone wrong. They taste it when they are the one who knows the secret. That taste is real. It is a small pleasure, but like sugar, it has a hidden cost. After the pleasure comes restlessness. After the pleasure comes distrust. After the pleasure comes loneliness. After the pleasure comes a mind that cannot relax. So the Buddha's path is not just to stop the habit. It is to replace the taste. Replace the taste of conflict with the taste of kindness. Replace the taste of judgment with the taste of understanding. Replace the taste of gossip with the taste of silence. This is a deeper happiness, a happiness that does not create regret. Now, let us speak about idle chatter, because idle chatter is often where gossip lives. Idle chatter is not always harmful. People can laugh. People can tell stories. People can connect. But idle chatter becomes unwholesome when it trains the mind to stay distracted. When it keeps you away from your own heart. When it fills every silence with noise. Because you are afraid to meet yourself. So part of practice is learning to be comfortable with quiet. When you can sit in quiet with another person and still feel safe, that is a sign of maturity. Now, a small story. Two friends used to meet and talk for hours. Most of it was about other people. They laughed, they judged, they complained. One friend began practicing mindfulness. She noticed that after these meetings, she felt tired and bitter. So she changed one habit. In each meeting, she introduced one wholesome topic: gratitude, a lesson, a question about values, a kind memory. At first, the other friend resisted.
But slowly, the conversations changed. They still laughed, but they laughed without cruelty. They still shared, but they shared without shaming others. The friendship became lighter. This is how you change gossip without preaching. You change the direction of the conversation. Now let us talk about another important practice: right listening. Many people think right speech is only about speaking, but the Buddha's path is also about listening. If you listen to gossip with interest, you are feeding it. If you listen to gossip with a hungry face, you are inviting it. If you listen to gossip and then repeat it, you become the messenger of ignorance. So practice right listening. Right listening means you listen to understand, not to collect ammunition. You listen to help, not to judge. You listen with compassion, not with excitement. And sometimes, right listening means you do not listen. You step away. You protect your mind. Now let us be very practical. When someone begins gossiping, you can feel your body. Notice what happens. Does the heart get excited? Does the mind feel important? Does the tongue get ready to speak? This is the craving. This is the hook. If you see it, you can unhook. Take one breath. Relax the face. Then choose. You can redirect, clarify, refuse. Now let us explore the deepest reason we love to judge. Because judging gives the mind a feeling of control. If I can explain why that person is wrong, I feel safer. If I can create a story about them, I feel like the world makes sense. But the Buddha taught that life is complex. Life is changing. Life is not always controllable. So judging is often the mind's attempt to reduce uncertainty. But it does not work. It creates more suffering. Because the mind becomes a courtroom that never rests. So the Buddha offers a different safety, not control, understanding. Understanding impermanence, understanding karma, understanding that we can only control our intention and our action. This is real stability. Now we will speak about a very important area. What to do when you are the target of gossip. Because if you practice leaving gossip, sometimes you will become lonely. People who love gossip may talk about you. They may call you proud. They may call you strange. So how do you handle being misunderstood? In Buddhism, this is also practice. Remember the 8 worldly winds. Praise and blame will come. If you stop gossip, some people will praise you. Some people will blame you. Both are wind. Do not cling. Build peace on conscience. Ask yourself, am I living with integrity? Am I trying to reduce suffering? Am I speaking truthfully and kindly? If yes, continue. Let time and conduct speak. If you made a mistake, correct. If you did not, do not beg. This is dignity. Now a story. A man stopped gossiping in his workplace. He refused to join group chats that mocked others. He became quieter. Some colleagues said he was arrogant. Some said he was pretending to be holy. At first, it hurt. Then he remembered the Buddha's teaching. Other people's opinions are not your home. Your home is your intention. So he stayed kind. He stayed respectful. He helped where he could. He did not judge them back. Over time, people trusted him more. They came to him for honest advice. He became a calm presence. This is how Dharma works. Not quickly, but deeply. Now, let us speak about the difference between judging a person and judging an action. This is a key to wisdom. In Buddhism, we do not say, "This person is evil forever." We say, "This action is unwholesome. This action causes harm. This allows growth." If you label a person, you lock them. If you label an action, you can correct it. So train your mind. Instead of, "He is terrible," say, "That behavior caused harm." Instead of, "She is bad," say, "That choice created suffering." Instead of, "They are hopeless," say, "They are struggling with ignorance and change is possible." This is compassion with clarity. Now we will add a longer teaching about the precepts, because the precepts are the strongest protection for speech. The 5 precepts are often spoken of as a foundation for lay practice. Avoid harming living beings. Avoid stealing. Avoid sexual misconduct. Avoid false speech. Avoid intoxicants that cloud the mind. Notice the 4th precept. Avoid false speech. False speech is not only lying, it includes exaggeration. It includes manipulating. It includes speaking without knowing. It includes spreading rumors. It includes twisting. So when you practice the 4th precept deeply, gossip becomes impossible. Because gossip usually includes assumptions, half-truths, stories, interpretations. So keeping the precept is powerful. Now, a story. A woman heard a rumor about her friend. The rumor sounded dramatic. Her mind wanted to share it. Then she remembered the precept. I will not speak what I do not know. So she stayed silent. She decided to speak to her friend directly with care. When she spoke, she realized the rumor was false. If she had shared it, she would have harmed her friend and many relationships. One moment of restraint saved much suffering. This is the merit of the precept. Now let us speak about intoxicants, because intoxicants also affect speech. When the mind is clouded, the mouth becomes careless. People say things they regret. People gossip more. People fight more. So a clear mind supports right speech. This is why the Buddha taught clarity. Now let us add a guided practice called clean mouth, clear mind. You can do it any day. Morning. Before you leave the bed, take 3 breaths. Say quietly, "Today may my mouth be a source of peace. Today may my words reduce suffering. Today may I speak less from ego and more from kindness." Midday. Choose one conversation to practice silence. Not cold silence, gentle silence. Listen more than you speak. Notice the mind. Evening. Review your speech. Where did I speak from craving? Where did I speak from aversion? Where did I speak from delusion? Then forgive yourself. Then commit. This practice is simple, but it builds a whole new life. Now, let us bring in another story to make this vivid. A young man named Taro had a habit of criticizing his younger brother. He thought it would motivate him, but the brother became withdrawn. The home became tense. One day, Taro heard a teaching. A child grows in the climate of words. If words are cold, the heart shrinks. If words are warm, the heart opens. Taro began practicing a new speech. He corrected less publicly. He praised effort. He asked questions. He listened. The brother began speaking more. The relationship healed. Taro learned something. Speech is not just information. Speech is atmosphere. So if you want peace, build a peaceful atmosphere with your mouth. Now we will go even deeper into the psychology of gossip. Many people gossip because they are avoiding their own pain. It is easier to talk about someone else than to face your own loneliness. It is easier to judge someone else than to see your own fear. It is easier to criticize someone else than to admit your own mistakes. So gossip is a distraction. The Buddha taught that distraction is suffering, because it keeps you away from the truth. So if you want to end gossip, you must also learn to sit with yourself. This is meditation. When you sit, you feel your discomfort. You feel your boredom. You feel your sadness. You feel your craving. And you learn to hold it with compassion. When you can hold your own discomfort, you no longer need to escape into gossip. This is deep healing. Now, a story. A woman named Lien was always in conversations. She always had something to say about others. When she was alone, she felt empty. She began meditation. At first, she hated it. Silence felt like a mirror. But over time, she saw that her gossip habit was covering loneliness. When she met her loneliness with kindness, the need to gossip decreased. Her life became calmer. This is the fruit of practice. Now, let us speak about one more important teaching. The practice of forgiveness. When you stop gossip, you may see how often people have harmed you with words. You may feel anger, so you need forgiveness. Forgiveness is not approving harm. Forgiveness is releasing poison. If you carry resentment, you keep the gossip alive inside your own mind. You replay, you argue, you suffer. So forgiveness is protection. You can forgive and still set boundaries. You can forgive and still speak truth. You can forgive and still step away. Forgiveness is for your freedom. Now, a simple forgiveness practice. Think of someone who spoke about you. Do not choose the hardest person first. Choose someone moderate. Breathe. Say, I release the poison from my heart. May I be free. May you learn. May I not carry this further. This practice does not make you naive. It makes you free. Now, let us continue with one more powerful practice. The practice of seeing your own mouth as a teacher. Every time you speak, ask, is this bringing me closer to peace or farther? This question is simple, but it is life-changing. Now we will come to the closing soon, but first, let us place one more subtle invitation. If you want more long voiceover Dharma talks like this, you are welcome to subscribe to Buddha Peaceful Mind. It supports the sharing of calm teachings that help us live with cleaner hearts in a noisy world. Now, let us end with a final image. Imagine your words are drops of ink in a glass of water. One drop changes the whole glass. If your words are bitter, the mind becomes bitter. If your words are kind, the mind becomes kind. If your words are honest, the mind becomes clear. So choose the ink, choose the water, choose the mouth as a path, and you will see that when speech becomes pure, ignorance weakens. When ignorance weakens, wisdom rises. When wisdom rises, peace becomes natural. Now, we will close with a final blessing and a final reminder. May your mouth become a source of peace. May your words become medicine, not poison. May your silence become wisdom, not avoidance. May your heart become wide enough to hold differences without judgment. May you speak less of other people's faults and more of your own practice. May you walk the Buddha's path through simple, honest, gentle words. And let us stay just a little longer, because there is one more practical piece that many people need. People often ask, if I stop gossip, what should I say instead? This is a beautiful question, because it shows you are not only trying to stop harm, you are trying to create goodness. So here are 3 wholesome directions your speech can move. You can speak about what is true. You can speak about what is kind. You can speak about what is useful. True does not mean harsh. Kind does not mean fake. Useful does not mean controlling. It means your speech becomes a tool for peace. Now here is a simple practice called replace and raise. Replace the old habit with a new one. Raise the level of the conversation. When you notice gossip beginning, replace it with one of these. A question. What do you think they might be going through? A kindness. I hope they get support. A solution. What can we do to make this better? A value. What matters most here? A lesson. What can we learn from this situation? These sentences do not attack. They do not preach. They simply lift the conversation. Now, another practice is to speak one good truth about someone every day. Not flattery, not exaggeration, just a real good truth. You can say, "She worked hard on that. He was patient with the customer. They handled that with courage. I appreciate their effort." This practice does something very deep. It trains the mind to see goodness. And when the mind sees goodness, envy decreases, hatred decreases, ignorance decreases. This is a direct antidote. Now a story. A man named Vin used to complain about his coworkers daily. He thought it made him smart. His teacher asked him to do one practice for 10 days. Each day, say one true good thing about someone. Only one sentence. At first, Vin resisted. He said, "People don't deserve praise." The teacher said, "This practice is not for them. It is for your mind." Vin tried. Day 1, he struggled. Day 2, he found one small good thing. By day 5, he noticed something. His mind was softer. His body was less tense. He smiled more naturally. He realized his complaining habit was not truth. It was poison. And he discovered a new kind of strength. A mind that can appreciate without clinging. Now let us talk about another subtle trap. Sometimes we stop gossip, but we replace it with spiritual pride. We become the person who says, "I never gossip," and we secretly judge gossipers. This is still ego. So remember, the goal is not to become special. The goal is to become free. So if you catch yourself judging gossipers, smile gently. Then return to yourself. Say, "May I be humble. May I focus on my own mind." This is the path. Now, let us speak about praising and blaming skillfully, because these are two powerful forms of speech. Praise can be wholesome, but it can also be manipulation. Blame can be necessary, but it can also be cruelty. So we need wisdom. Skillful praise is specific and sincere. It encourages wholesome qualities. It does not inflate ego. Skillful correction is private when possible. It focuses on behavior and impact. It offers a path forward. It does not humiliate. So if you are a leader, a parent, a teacher, this is very important. Your words shape other people's minds. Now, a story about skillful correction. A manager noticed an employee making repeated mistakes. The manager could have shamed him publicly. Instead, the manager spoke privately. He said, "I see you are trying. Here are the specific areas to improve. I will support you. Let's make a plan." The employee improved. Trust grew. This is correction that reduces suffering. Now, a story about unskillful correction. Another manager shamed people publicly. He used sarcasm. He created fear. The team became silent. Mistakes increased. This is the karma of harsh speech. So remember, harsh speech does not create excellence. It creates fear. The Buddha's path is different. It is firm, but not cruel.
Now we will offer a simple 7-day practice you can follow after listening to this talk. Day 1. Observe your speech for 1 day without changing it. Just notice. How often do you judge? How often do you exaggerate? How often do you speak without knowing? Day 2. Practice 1 breath before speaking. Just 1 breath, all day. Day 3. Refuse 1 piece of gossip, 1 time. Use 1 gentle sentence. Day 4. Speak 1 true good thing about someone, 1 sentence. Day 5. Correct 1 mistake in your speech. Apologize if needed. Repair. Day 6. Practice 5 minutes of silence. Not forced, gentle. Just sit and breathe. Day 7. Review the week. Notice any change in the mind. Notice any change in the heart. If you do this, you will feel something. Not dramatic, but real. A little more space. A little more calm. A little more dignity. This is the beginning of freedom. Now, let us do 1 last guided meditation as a closing gift. Sit comfortably. Feel the breath. Now, imagine your mind is a pond. Each judgment is a stone. Each rumor is a stone. Each harsh sentence is a stone. When stones enter, the pond becomes restless. Now imagine you stop throwing stones. You keep your hands still. You keep your mouth gentle. You keep your mind humble. The pond becomes calm. And when the pond is calm, it reflects the moon. It reflects reality. This is wisdom. This is the end of ignorance. Now breathe. Say quietly inside, may my speech be clean. May my mind be clear. May my heart be kind. And when you stand up from this talk, carry 1 simple reminder. Do not build your happiness on judging others. Build your peace on training your own heart. And if you are wondering why the Buddha treated speech with such seriousness, remember this. Speech is not only communication. Speech is the shaping of the mind. Whatever you repeat, you become. Whatever you praise, you feed. Whatever you blame, you strengthen. Whatever you enjoy, you practice. So if you enjoy gossip, you are practicing ignorance. If you enjoy kindness, you are practicing wisdom. This is why the Buddha called practice a training. Now some people ask, does gossip create karma that follows us beyond this life? In Buddhist understanding, actions leave traces. Intentions shape the mind. The mind carries its habits. So a mind trained in cruelty tends to suffer. A mind trained in kindness tends to find peace. You do not need to fear this. You only need to respect it, because it means your life is in your hands. 1 sentence can plant a seed. 1 silence can stop a fire. 1 apology can heal a wound. So do not underestimate the mouth. Now let us end with a final story, simple and touching. An elderly man lived in a village where people gossiped daily. He was quiet, and some people thought he was strange. One day, a young person asked him, "Why don't you join our talk? It is fun." The elderly man smiled and said, "When I was younger, I also enjoyed it. But later I noticed something. Every time I spoke badly about someone, my heart became smaller. Every time I spoke kindly, my heart became bigger. I realized I was choosing my own heart with every sentence. So I chose a bigger heart." The young person looked confused. The elderly man continued, "If I must speak, I speak to help. If I cannot help, I stay silent and keep my heart clean. This is all. This story is simple, but it is the whole path. Now, dear friends, if you take only one thing from this long Dharma talk, take this. Your mouth is a gate. Guard the gate, not with fear, with love. Guard it with mindfulness. Guard it with compassion. Guard it with humility. Speak truth. Speak gently. Speak to heal. And when speech would harm, choose wise silence. When you practice this, the mind becomes quieter. When the mind becomes quieter, wisdom becomes clearer. When wisdom becomes clearer, ignorance loses its place to hide. And that is the path of the Buddha. And if you want one last practical tool, here it is. When you feel the urge to speak about someone, use the 3 circles. First circle is the self. Ask, what is happening in me right now? Is this anger? Is this envy? Is this fear? Is this insecurity? If you meet the first circle with honesty, the urge to gossip often weakens, because you are no longer running away from yourself. Second circle is the other person. Ask, what might be happening in them? What conditions might be shaping them? What suffering might be under their behavior? This does not excuse harm. It simply invites compassion. And compassion makes speech less sharp. Third circle is action. Ask, what action reduces suffering right now? Do I need to speak directly to them with respect? Do I need to ask for help from a responsible person? Do I need to set a boundary? Or do I simply need to stay silent and let this pass? If you use these 3 circles, your speech becomes wise. Because it begins with self-awareness, then compassion, then skillful action. Now, a short story. A woman was angry at a neighbor who played loud music at night. Her first impulse was to gossip about the neighbor to everyone in the building. Then she remembered the 3 circles. First, she saw her own state. She was exhausted. Her irritation was amplified by tiredness. Second, she considered the neighbor. Maybe they did not realize how far the sound traveled. Maybe they were lonely and used music to avoid silence. Third, she chose action. She spoke to the neighbor directly the next day, calmly. She said, "I'm having trouble sleeping because the music is loud at night. Could we agree on a quieter time?" The neighbor apologized and adjusted. The problem was solved without gossip, without enemies, without a war. This is Dharma in daily life. Not big speeches, small, wise steps. Now let us return one last time to the heart of the path. Less gossip does not mean less truth. It means more truth. Because truth is not only facts. Truth is also the truth of your own mind. Truth is seeing your own craving, your own aversion, your own pride. When you see these, ignorance weakens, and that is the real victory. Now let us end with a blessing, the way a teacher might end a gentle talk. May you be protected by your own wholesome speech. May you be surrounded by wise friends who support your practice. May your home become warmer because of your words. May your workplace become safer because of your restraint. May your mind become clearer because you stop feeding judgment. May your heart become wider because you practice compassion. May you see faults without hatred. May you see goodness without attachment. May you live with a clean conscience and a peaceful breath. And when the world is noisy, may you remember that silence is also a form of wisdom. When others are harsh, may you remember that gentle speech is strong. When gossip invites you, may you remember that you do not have to enter. Thank you for staying with this reflection on speech, ignorance, and the path of practice. May you be well. May you be peaceful. May you be free.